Hi, welcome back to Fast Recap, and today I'm going to tell you about a 1997 movie called George of the Jungle. If you like our video, you can support us by liking and subscribing. It's just a second for you. And for us, it's motivation to make quality videos and upload them more often. 25 years ago, an airplane crashed in the African jungle. A baby named George was never found. When George grew up, he became king of the jungle. His kingdom was about to be invaded by an American woman named Ursula. She was very surprised to see her fiancé Lyle and the two mercenaries who accompanied him. He wants to take the wayward bride back to San Francisco, but in the meantime, he has to join Ursula, who wants to climb a mountain and see how orangutans live. The guide tells them a local legend about a white orangutan over 2 meters tall. He comes out on a full moon and lets out a wild roar, whether he wants blood or is looking for a female. Soon, a troop of tourists has arrived at the foot of the Monkey Mountain. Now they have to walk across a flimsy suspension bridge over a precipice. Lyle decided to make a joke and started swinging it. Everyone was frightened, especially the porter, who fell into the river from a great height, appreciated the joke. Lyle gave them a Polaroid to surprise the Africans with animated pictures, but they could snap them themselves with their expensive camera. Lyle took offense at their taunts, grabbed his bride by the hand, and led her into the thicket to find the orangutan. Suddenly, a lion's roar was heard. Ursula thought she was finished, but a white orangutan appeared, but it flew past and crashed into a tree. A desperate fight ensued. The lion pounced on the boy and they exchanged a few blows. Pushing himself off the tree, George threw a powerful punch that knocked the lion out. Afterward, he spun him around like a basketball and finished him off hard in a fall. The lion was chased away, but he attacked again, and then George saved the girl, picked her up on a rope. The white orangutan dragged Ursula into the jungle and landed her in his technological house. Lyle was covered in red berries as if he had fought to the last man for his bride and had been wounded in battle. Ursula woke up in the bungalow and immediately screamed with fright when she saw a gorilla in glasses and underpants bringing her breakfast with a bunch of bananas. Clumsy George flew in as well. Ursula still hoped it was a dream. After all, only in a dream can one see a talking gorilla reading a medical reference book. The girl fainted again from shock. George starts to wipe Ursula with a rag and discovers something strange in his chest area. Ape explains to his brother that it is a woman, a female human, and also they better not talk in front of her. It makes the girl nervous after George tasted the female. Ursula wakes up and takes the elevator down from the tree. A cheerful Tarzan has been given a flower as a gift, and Ursula asks to take her to her own. George is helped in this by his dog Shep. The boy called Shep, and the ground shook. An elephant jumped out to them, which really does act like a dog. Shep gave Ursula a little ride on his truck, and then she offered to throw him a stick. But what's a stick to an elephant? George launched a whole log into the bushes. Saddling the elephant, the couple set off in search of a fiancé. She forgot almost everything in the company of a handsome and pumped-up king of the jungle. The little capuchin has been hurt by a pack of monkeys which won't play with her. Ursula held out a handkerchief for her to wipe away her tears, but the monkey wiped her ass with it. The other capuchins really ignore her. Just then a lion came out of the thicket. All the monkeys scattered except one, who bravely beat her chest and chased the predator away. The plan worked. Now everyone wants to be friends with her. The squad found the trail of the white orangutan. Meanwhile, George teaches Ursula how to ride Liana. She's not very good at it, so the savage gives her a master class. Only he's always having trouble with the brakes. George is more dressed up than ever. He wants to be handsome and feels something unusual inside. Abe is teaching his brother how to get a female's attention. You have to constantly puff up your cheeks, then show your teeth, toss leaves, and hoot loudly. This will not leave her indifferent. The bearers were tired of fumbling around in the jungle. Lyle tried to negotiate with them and offered $50 each for help in catching the white orangutan. Ursula is quite content to be lost in the jungle and meet the king. She's not scared at all. The guy realized it was time to start seducing the female, except that the wiggling and strange sounds confused her and Ursula went away. That plan didn't work. Good thing Ape found a book about human dating in his library. Attempt number 2. Ursula saw a crocodile tooth on George's chest, but he didn't kill it. He just helped pull the sore tooth out. The girl also has a talisman, a cheap ring she found as a child. Ursula decided to give it to the king of the jungle. Gorillas arranged a concert and George invited the lady to dance. And there is nothing to be embarrassed about. There are no people here to judge her or make fun of her. Only George and Ursula had a lot of fun around the campfire. Lyle was tired of trailing behind and catching branches with his face, so he wanted to go ahead. but immediately he tripped and fell into an elephant pile. The troop found a white orangutan, which turned out to be a regular human and not at all dangerous in appearance. The first to dare to go was Lyle. Ursula came out of the bungalow and she was not at all happy to meet her fiancé. The poachers saw the elephant. George ran to protect the animal and then Lyle shot him. Ursula flies the guy to her homeland on a private jet. The poachers are deported from the country. Lyle will now be thrown behind bars. However, Max still plans to capture the monkey. George is driving around San Francisco in his car, and Ursula's mom expects to see her daughter with her fiancé and does not yet know that he is stuck in an African prison. Ursula is visited by her girlfriend Betsy, who is amazed to see the naked savage just out of the bathroom. George put on the first thing he found in Ursula's closet. The girl led her friend to a large, shiny cave where they would buy George some clothes. He soon discovered that he looked quite good in Armani. Mom spotted the couple outside and didn't see where Lyle was. Without the king of the jungle, Chief had become unruly. Ursula asked George not to go anywhere. Her coworkers and father threw her a surprise engagement party. Savage saw a commercial where coffee brought lovers together, so he too should consume as much of that coffee as possible. The weatherman advised a nervous George to go outside. The caffeine didn't fight him, taking George to the biggest bridge he'd ever seen in his life. He was there just in time because a parachutist was hovering on the ties of the bridge. George, in his usual way, flew up to the poor guy and unhooked him. The report of the emergency is on TV. Ursula saw her friend arrived at the bridge and boarded the rescue ship. Ape has time to ask the toucan to find George before he passes out. Ursula is nervous before meeting her parents, so George decided to teach her a jungle call that would add to her confidence. Ursula had to try very hard to explain to Mom and Dad why she wouldn't marry Lyle. Mom was especially upset when she learned that she risked becoming the mother-in-law of a jungle savage, especially since she had already prepared a cake for the reception with Lyle's figure on it, but George destroyed it immediately. The reception was attended by all the cream of society, including the mayor of San Francisco. Meanwhile, all the girls stood in a row out of the corral to watch George run around with the other stallions. At the reception, some jealous men came up to meet him. Mom took George out on the terrace and declared that he and Ursula could not be a couple. The guy is not up to her level, and then went on to direct threats of reprisal if George interferes with her daughter's wedding. Then he will have nothing to cover with a loincloth. During the night, a toucan found him and informed him of Ape's abduction. Ursula was already asleep. George did not wake her up, but only left his talisman, a crocodile tooth. Her mother was glad that the savage had returned to his jungle, and Ursula guessed that she had talked to him yesterday. But the girl will go after George in Africa. Suddenly, her father supported her and wished his daughter good luck. George was taken by parcel to Africa, and he was cramped. The king of the jungle put on sneakers to get to his brother as quickly as possible. The poachers were tired, barely moving with a heavy cage through the jungle. They were guided by a sign that said, "Shortcut to the river." So Ape tells them that this is a false signpost. The path will lead them back to his house. But the outlaws didn't believe him. Finally, George got to his bungalow and found Ape's broken glasses. This is where the poachers came in. It turned out that Ape hadn't lied to them after all. George takes a swing at them, and his animal agility and strength from the armpits allow him to fight with criminals on an equal footing. Here, Shep came to the rescue and smarted a toucan, which flew into Thor's ass. After the projectiles were coconuts, but flew into absolutely everyone. Max grabbed his gun but was stopped by Ursula coming up on the lean. She fell into George's arms, but the savage couldn't care less. He punched her heartily and knocked him out. Ursula was ready to confess her love to the savage, but then Lyle appeared, who had escaped from prison and joined a closed sect. Other pumped-up sectarians grabbed George, and Lyle dragged Ursula to the river to consummate the marriage against her will. The baby capuchin sounded the alarm, and a gang of guerrilla karate chopped up the jocks and threw them in a cage. Lyle dragged Ursula to some cave. Here they tumbled down and into a river where a boat was waiting for them. George, meanwhile, raced ahead, sometimes mistaking vines for snakes. Reverend Lyle began the marriage ceremony without noticing the dangerous rapids ahead. To save his beloved, George had to make the biggest jump in jungle history. Spilling cosmic speed with the sound of a fighter jet, George flew into a tree with such force that he broke it, and the tree fell right in front of the boat. The savage saved the girl, which he had not noticed in the cave. In the darkness, he made a marriage with a gorilla who jumped into his boat, and the heiress of San Francisco and the king of the jungle joined their hearts forever. The ceremony on the bride's side was attended by people and on the groom's side by animals, but both were drunk. Soon, the pair had an heir. What do you think of this movie? Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more such videos.